I never thought my life would turn out this way. When my mom married Greg, I was 16 years old. He seemed nice enough at first, charming, funny, and always willing to lend a hand. He'd bring home pizza on Friday nights and ask me about my day at school. For a while, it felt like we were becoming a real family. But things changed. It started with little things, a lingering touch on my shoulder, a comment about how much I'd grown up. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was reading too much into things. But then the looks became longer, the touches more deliberate, and the comments more pointed. I tried to ignore it, to push it out of my mind. I didn't want to believe that the man my mom loved, the man who was supposed to be my stepfather, could see me that way. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. And then it happened. It was late one night, and I was alone in the house. My mom was working the night shift at the hospital, and Greg had been drinking. I was in my room, trying to focus on homework, when I heard a knock at the door. "Come in," I said, not thinking much of it. The door creaked open, and Greg stepped inside. He was holding a bottle of beer, his eyes glassy and unfocused. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at me, and I felt a knot of dread form in my stomach. "Hey," he said, his voice slurred. "What are you up to?" "Just homework," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He walked over and sat down on the edge of my bed, his weight causing the mattress to dip. I could smell the alcohol on his breath, and it made my skin crawl. "You're always working so hard," he said, his eyes roaming over me. "You should take a break." I forced a smile, my heart pounding in my chest. "I'm almost done," I said, hoping he would leave. But he didn't. Instead, he reached out and brushed a strand of hair away from my face, his fingers lingering against my cheek. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. "You're so beautiful," he said, his voice low and thick with something I didn't want to acknowledge. "Greg, please," I said, my voice trembling. "I think you should go." But he didn't listen. Instead, he leaned in closer, his breath hot against my skin. "You don't have to be scared," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you." I wanted to scream, to push him away, to run out of the room and never look back. But I couldn't move. I felt paralyzed, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. And then it happened. I won't go into the details. Some things are too painful, too raw, to put into words. But I'll never forget the way it felt, the weight of his body pressing down on me, the way my stomach churned with disgust and shame, the way I cried silently, begging for it to be over. When it was finally done, he left without a word, closing the door behind him. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a stranger in my own body. I wanted to scream, to cry, to tell someone what had happened. But I couldn't. How could I tell my mom? How could I destroy her happiness, her marriage, her life? And even if I did, would she believe me? Or would she think I was lying, that I was trying to ruin everything? So I stayed silent. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. Greg acted like nothing had happened, like everything was normal. And I played along, pretending to be the happy, carefree daughter my mom thought I was. But inside, I was breaking. Every time I saw Greg, I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. Every time he touched me, even if it was just a pat on the shoulder, I felt my skin crawl. And every night, when I lay in bed, I replayed that night in my mind, wondering what I could have done differently, wondering why I hadn't fought back. I felt dirty, broken, like something inside me had been shattered beyond repair. And the worst part was, I had no one to talk to, no one to turn to. I was alone. Story about of pain, betrayal, and the devastating impact of abuse. It's a reminder that some wounds run deep, and that the scars they leave behind can last a lifetime. But it's also a story of resilience, of finding the strength to speak out, to seek help, and to reclaim your life. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, please reach out to a trusted adult, counselor, or support organization. You are not alone. This story is written with sensitivity and care, aiming to shed light on the emotional toll of such experiences while emphasizing the importance of seeking help and support.